So, if your dog is battling cancer, you've probably been told to keep a close eye out for anemia. But what if the most common, well intentioned fix for it could actually be feeding the disease? In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why that is and what the real solution looks like. If you're going through this journey, you absolutely know the constant worry. You check on them, and then one day you notice it. Their gums look pale, not as pink as they should be. And you get that immediate sinking feeling that something is wrong. And for so many of us, our mind just jumps to one conclusion. They must be anemic, right? They must need more iron. It's a logical, caring, and completely understandable reaction to want to fix it with a simple supplement. But what if I told you that in the world of cancer, giving extra iron could be like airdropping supplies directly to the enemy? Let's break down why this happens, because really, understanding this is absolutely critical. Okay, so to get to the bottom of this, we first have to understand the nature of cancer cells themselves. Think of them as these master thieves, or maybe collectors, with a really dangerous and relentless obsession for one particular resource. Cancer's whole mission, its entire goal, is to grow and multiply without any limits. And to do that, it needs a massive amount of fuel and building blocks. Well, it turns out the most prized, the most essential resource for a cancer cell is iron. It's literally the key that unlocks their crazy fast growth. And this slide, wow, this shows the difference perfectly. So on the left, you've got a healthy, normal cell with just a few little ports to accept iron. But look at the right. The cancer cell is just covered in what are called transferrin receptors. Think of them like a massive web of antennas, just letting the cancer greedily snatch up way more iron from the bloodstream than any normal cell ever could. But the problem actually gets worse. It's not just that cancer is hoarding all the iron. It's what happens when there's too much of it just floating around in the body. It kicks off this really destructive chemical process called the Fenton reaction. What this reaction does is unleash a storm of powerful, highly damaging free radicals. I mean, these particles are like tiny missiles, just attacking healthy cells, damaging DNA, and creating this awful inflammatory environment. So here's the crucial point. Excess iron doesn't just feed the cancer. It can actually make the cancer even more aggressive. So all this leads us to a really fascinating and kind of mind-blowing way of looking at the problem. What if the pale gums and the anemia we see aren't a sign of a simple deficiency? What if it's the body's own super intelligent defense strategy in action? A deliberate iron lockdown. The scientific term for this is iron sequestration, and it's basically the body's protective mechanism to hide away valuable stuff from an invader. When the body detects a threat, like a serious infection or cancer, it starts actively locking iron away inside its cells to try and starve the enemy. This slide lays out the whole lockdown process perfectly. So look at step 1. It all starts when cancer tissues sends out these inflammatory signals. Then you follow the flow to step 2. The liver picks up on this danger and responds by making a hormone called hepcidin. And that hepcidin then circulates, and as you see in step 3, it basically locks the gates, trapping iron inside the body's cells and keeping it out of the bloodstream. So now you see the big problem, right? The body has gone to all this incredible trouble to put its iron supply into a secure vault. When we come along and give an iron supplement, we're pretty much setting up an all-you-can-eat buffet for the cancer cells right outside that vault door. We're completely bypassing the body's own defense system. Okay, so if adding iron is the wrong move, what's the right one? Well, the answer is in a strategy called metabolic therapy. Instead of just treating a symptom, this approach goes after the cancer's metabolism itself, messing with its ability to use fuel, like iron, in the first place. This therapy has 3 core benefits that directly deal with everything we've just talked about. First, it works to block the cancer's ability to steal and use iron. Second, by doing that, it sends a signal to the body that it's actually safe to unlock its own stored iron. And third, it protects the bone marrow, which is the factory where all the red blood cells are made. The logic here is really simple and honestly kind of beautiful. Instead of fighting the body's wisdom, you work with it. By disrupting the cancer's metabolism, weakening its energy supply, the threat level goes way down. The body doesn't feel the need to hide its iron anymore, the lockdown ends, and those stored resources are finally released to produce healthy red blood cells again. So what this all comes down to is a huge shift in our thinking. We need to move away from just adding more and focus instead on restoring the body's natural, healthy balance. Let's just make that crystal clear. The goal is no longer adding more iron into a system that's actively trying to hide it. The real goal is restoring the proper flow of the iron that the body already has stored away. So, what can you actually do with all this? Here are 3 key principles to remember and to talk about with your veterinarian. Number 1, be extremely cautious with iron supplements. They should never be given without a specific diagnosis of true iron deficiency, which can be checked with tests like ferritin levels. Number 2, prioritize metabolic control. The safest, most effective path to fixing this kind of anemia is to lower the cancer-related inflammation that's causing it. And 3, support cellular hydration. This helps improve circulation and lets the body deliver oxygen more efficiently, even with a lower number of red blood cells. And I just want to leave you with this final thought. Real power in this fight doesn't always come from adding something more, but from the wisdom of taking something away. In this case, cutting the cancer supply line and trusting the body's incredible ability to get its own balance back.